actor Alec Baldwin speaks out for the first time after the shooting of the director of photography on the set of his new movie Rust. And honestly, I think this is extremely weird. So let's get into it. Welcome to the newest episode of SDW.
Super Dario World!
Okay, so this is pre-recorded, by the way. I couldn't do it live, unfortunately, because I'm going out of town. And not Thursdays. Thursdays I don't usually do live, but this is a very interesting story. I know that I don't know why I got so interested in it and why I've been following up so much on it, but I just find it fascinating because I think the consequences for the movie industry are going to be affected. There's going to be a lot of consequence to the movie industry because of this particular case. But before I get into it, let me just give a quick reminder that any comments, questions, or suggestions, you can find me at Dario SDW on Instagram. Like I said, I'm going to be out of town. I'm going on a trip. You won't be seeing me here tomorrow or Monday, at least not live. But if you want to join me in my adventures, you can just see my stories there. Again, I usually load it on my Instagram at DarioSDW. If you want to see me live, you can do that on Instagram, on YouTube, and on Twitch at Super Dario World at 10 a.m. usually. Like I said, out of town this week and next, so no live shows for the near future probably. But let's get into this interesting topic, the dilemma here with Alec Baldwin. And so I honestly don't understand what's happening here, because rule number one from any lawyer if you're in trouble is shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. That's what any lawyer will tell you. Do not talk to the cops. Do not talk to the media. It's a very bad idea. Shut the fuck up. So I don't understand what is happening here, because let's for the moment, no charges have been brought up against Alec Baldwin. And you know what? I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt on everything, just, so that hopefully that helps make my argument stronger at the end. But giving him the benefit of the doubt on everything, and assuming that no charges will be made against them, which I still think there should be charges, that are made against him, at least for manslaughter. He's being sued. His company is being sued. So he's going on national television to talk about a case where people are suing his production company. Again, if you're a lawyer, you must be ripping your hairs out. I don't understand why he's doing this. Now, I also understand that there's a PR side to all of this, and he probably has a PR crisis management team and he's following their advice. But I think they might be worried a bit more about his career than his or in his livelihood or whatever, than about his actual life and freedom here. Because I think this man should be going to jail. So Let's go through a quick breakdown of everything that happened. So actor Alec Baldwin, about a month ago, accidentally shot and killed one person on the set of his new movie, the movie called Rust, and that person was the director of photography, and he also shot and injured with the same bullet the director. Now, I've broken this case down a lot for many reasons, in many different ways, and so basically there's allegations about that scene that there's a lot of let's say neglect that happened on the set. They neglected safety in many reasons. In some of the cases where the people who are suing them, particularly the script supervisor, who's the person who knows the script better than anybody else, especially when the shooting script, made a bunch of allegations about safety on the set. So like I said, on the terms of neglect, I think it's pretty clear that Alec Baldwin is guilty here, or responsible, because he's the producer, also because he's the person that had the gun. And 4 rules. This is very important. 4 basic rules of gun safety. And anybody who's ever handled a gun should probably know this. Rule number 1. You always treat a gun like it's loaded, even if it's not. Rule number 2. Never aim it at anything that you don't intend to destroy. Rule number 3. Keep your finger off the trigger until the moment you intend to shoot. And rule number 4. Know what's behind what you shoot so that you don't hit something you're not intended to. So for example, if I shoot a wall, I need to know that there's nobody behind the wall, because otherwise the bullet could go through and get the person behind the wall. It's basic gun safety 101. And this particular movie set neglected a whole bunch of basic standard safety rules. For example, they didn't hire somebody from the guild as their armorer. They when they checked the guns outside, the armor did it under the supervision of the assistant director. instead of, she didn't have an assistant, but she did it outside under the supervision of the assistant director. And then they left the gun outside in a car. Due to COVID precautions, they couldn't have the gun on set for some reason. I guess guns can transmit COVID now. But they left it outside in a car. I'm assuming it's because she could not come into the set, and that's why everything was left outside in the car, but okay. So the gun was left outside in a car when they broke for lunch, and then when they came back, they picked up the gun. They did not check it again. And at this point, the gun had a real live ammo, had a live ammunition to it, like a real bullet. Now, why a real bullet was on set, who knows? Who knows? But it shouldn't have. That's massive. Again, nothing in a film set should be real, especially for weapons. And so they had a real bullet in it, and so they gave the gun to Alec Baldwin. Alec Baldwin did not check the gun. He neglected all the 4 rules of safety, and he ended up accidentally shooting and killing somebody in what appears to be a scene that did not, according to the script supervisor, a scene that did not require for him to pull the trigger. Now, we've gotten, I'm really pissed that this came out today, because I'm probably not gonna be able to cover it, at least for a few days. I might get lucky and I'll be able to see the interview, because I really want to see the interview, because again, I've been following this story a lot, and so I might have a chance to watch it today and load something for tomorrow, but I'm not 100% sure. It depends. We'll see how it goes, but I really wanted to cover it, because again, I've been covering it a lot and I find it very interesting. And so we got a teaser of the upcoming interview with George Stephanopoulos, and honestly, like I said, first off, I don't understand what the fuck he's doing, going up in front of a camera or something. I think it could be one of 2 things. One, either things look really bad for him because the state's building a case for him, and he's trying to, win his case in the court of public opinion, get some sympathy going on the media side. Or 2, things are going really well for him in the legal sense, and now he's trying to maybe clean up his public image, whatever. Again, crisis management. It could be either of those 2. But I legitimately don't understand why they would put him in front of the cameras. And so I don't expect a lot to come out of this interview, mainly because he has the benefit of picking who's going to interview him. And so he picked ABC for a reason. It could have been anybody. Everybody and their mother wants to interview him right now. And so he picked specifically ABC because he thinks that they're going to be the most friendly towards him. And that's highly likely. And this is what sucks about the media right now. It should be hard-hitting questions. And in the trailer and the little teaser that they give us, you could tell that George Stephanopoulos is kind of a hack. And there's basic questions you should be asked. And here's the important thing that was mentioned during the interview, like the clip. This is the clip that's gathering all this attention. Alec Baldwin specifically says he did not pull the trigger, right? He says, I did not pull the trigger. I would never pull the trigger. I would never aim a gun at somebody and pull the trigger. I would never do that. He very specifically says that. And, for a normal person, you're like, okay, well, that means that he didn't shoot her. Well, how'd the gun get shot up? You can fire a gun without pulling the trigger. It's like, you've probably seen it in a Western or something. Just pull the hammer back and bang, bang, bang. You don't need to pull the trigger. Also, it sounds like it was an old gun. This is things that are crazy about this case. We don't know what type of gun it was. It's speculated that it's a type of revolver. And let me see if I have the exact name here. It's a 45 Colt revolver. It's, again, allegedly. It's not confirmed that that's the type of the gun that they used, but it is suggested that it's a single action revolver. And now here's where things get a little bit tricky. What the hell is the difference between a single action and a dual action revolver? Well, or a gun. Here's basically what it basically means. So a dual action gun means that when you pull the trigger pulls the hammer back and then shoots. So the hammer is the thing that hits the bullet that makes it go bang. All right. So when you dual action, you pull the trigger and the trigger pulls the hammer back. And if you continue pulling, it'll shoot the gun. Basically, it'll unleash the trigger. Single action is specifically for a revolver, means that in order for this gun to shoot, if you press the trigger, the hammer you need to physically cock the hammer back, and then when you press the trigger, it releases it and bang. That's what that means. That's so one pulls it back and fires, the other one only fires. So you need to use your hand to physically pull back the trigger. Now, giving him the full benefit of the doubt, that he did not press the trigger, his finger was not on the trigger. guns don't fire magically. All right, it's not a thing that happens. Maybe it was an old gun. All right, so maybe when he hit the hammer, it malfunctioned and then caused a shot. Sure, I'm giving him every benefit of the doubt. That means that he did not have his finger on the. He followed one of the 4 rules. All right, he did not have his finger anywhere near the trigger. That does not change the fact that he broke the 3 other rules. All right, he aimed it. He did not check the gun for starters. And so again, you always need to check to see if treat a gun like it's loaded, even if it's not. He did not check to see if it was loaded. He did not check. That's the biggest thing here. That's the biggest issue. 2, he aimed it at something that he did not intend to destroy. So a person in this situation. And 3, keep finger off the trigger. That one he did. Again, giving him all the benefit of the doubt. And 4, he did not check what was behind what he was aiming at, meaning that he also hit somebody behind the person that he shot. So he broke 3 of the 4 rules, and even breaking 1 is a big no-no. And so in the clip, you see, Stephanopoulos asks him, like, hey, what do you have to say about, actors like George Clooney criticizing you that whenever he's given a gun, he always checks to see if it's loaded? That is a big, important question. And I was like, okay, there might actually be something to this interview. There might be. But then he follows up, or at least in the clip show you like, oh, so I know that you don't want to portray yourself as a victim, but is this the worst thing that's ever happened in your life? And so like, oh no, this must be so. So the way that he's asking the questions, I'm like, dude, I expected a softball question, but come on. And then at the end, Alec Baldwin saying that I can't think of anything that I could have done. Like, I think about things that I could have done. Well, you know what you could have done? You could have checked the gun. Like, there's a lot of things that you could have done. Now, again, he's probably suffering from a form of PTSD and remorse, and it's possible that he doesn't even remember pulling the trigger. That happens sometimes, and it's possible, again, giving him the benefit of the doubt. He's an actor. He's been practicing the motion. He did it automatically, the whoom and hitting the hammer. He probably didn't even think about it. Again, I'm not searching for intent here. There's no evidence for intent yet, or at least nothing that's been released. But all this doesn't make any sense legally. Why would you go put yourself out there? Now, again, there's no consequences legally to lying in TV. I mean, for the last few years, I've seen a lot of people say a lot of stuff on TV, and then when they're on the stand, they're like, it's the exact opposite. I've seen it too much. I don't believe pretty much anything that anybody says that they don't say on the stand. Because it's a whole bunch of bull. And you see it firsthand. You're like, what the this is the exact, or like, I have evidence of this. And then on the stand, do you see anything? No, not really. I wasn't even there. Are you fucking kidding me? Seriously? So again, things that they say on their oath and things that they say on TV, completely different. There's a purpose why he's on TV, and that's PR. It's the court of public opinion, and that court is honestly worth shit, legally speaking. And it should be worth shit because this is a serious issue. Somebody lost her life. Like, this is a serious if it was neglect, it's his responsibility. I made this example many times before. What's the difference with somebody walking up to me, giving me a gun, and me saying, hey, it has no bullets, and me aiming it at somebody, shooting that person, and them dying? I should have was like, what? I'm gonna be like, whoopsie, not my responsibility. That person told me that is not a real gun. Now, supposedly, according to the assistant director, that he's verifying that, yeah, Alec did not pull the trigger. He did not pull the trigger. And so this is what annoys me, again, about the media. Because Stephanopoulos, when he heard that, he says, oh, what do you think happened? The immediate question there should have been, did you pull the hammer? Did you pull the hammer? That's what I want to know. Did he pull the hammer of the gun? That's the only thing that really matters here. Because there's many, many ways of firing a gun, as you know. And they don't just fire accidentally by themselves. It's not a thing that happens. That's a Hollywood myth. And so why did the knife fall? I want to watch the interview because I want to see more than anything, because I whether you not believe that he's, I believe that he's genuinely sad about this whole situation. Whether or not you would think he's acting or whatever, doesn't matter. I don't care. To me, it's about this interview is like how big of a hack is George Stephanopoulos. I want to see if he asks actual legit difficult questions, because there's a lot of questions that should be asked here. The dude went with somebody who's going to be a softie for him. And here's the thing. There's a lot of issues still going on. Like the sheriff's department in in New Mexico claims that, hey, you know what? Guns don't go off by themselves. All right. The sheriff specifically said that. So the sheriff doesn't look like they're letting this go. The FBI is currently investigating how the hell this happened. Like the FBI is investigating how the gun went off. And now that means that this has gone to the federal level, which is, again, a bigger deal. I don't understand why charges have not been raised. I guess if I have to guess, well, again, let me just read this thing. The Santa Fe Sheriff's Department said that it's waiting for results from the FBI, which would shed light on how the gun could have been fired, whether that was just pulling back the hammer, which hits the firing pin, or just pulling the trigger, or both. Guns don't just go off, says Sheriff Adam Mendoza. So whatever needs to happen to manipulate the firearm, he did that, and it was in his hands. So again, it sounds like the sheriff's department is not taking any of this shit, all right? Which is a big deal for him. This is a big, serious problem for Alec Baldwin. I already explained why, as a producer, he's at fault. I already explained why, as the person handling the gun, he's at fault. Like again, in many ways, this is probably just neglect, and it'll probably be manslaughter. Maybe like it's not with malicious intent, but it's probably going to be manslaughter, or at least it should be from all the things that I've seen. But the FBI is involved. They're investigating. They're going to check it out. And what I know from what I know about the FBI, because I know a little bit of the FBI, I spent time a few summers ago not hanging out, but talking with a detective who spent a lot of time with the FBI, and the way that he says that these things are handled, the FBI, they build up a case against you, like a big one. And so I think that what's happening here is usually what happens in a case where it's a homicide, they charge you and then they investigate. Here, I think what they're doing is they're trying to build up the case, the biggest, strongest case possible, because it's a big public figure, and it was a kind of like a big news type of deal. And so they're trying to build up as much as they can. They're trying to cross all their T's, dot all their I's, and then that's when they're going to charge them. So it makes, oh man, I don't get it. I don't get why he would go on TV. Again, it's probably because he knows he's going to get a whole bunch of softy questions from a friendly news reporter who's not going to be doing actual journalism, and so he's going to be able to put out his version out there, and it's all going to be like, all right, I'm controlling the narrative. This is how it happened. I'm the victim here, and stuff like that. Even though he's specifically trying to say that he's not the victim, I don't think it's going to fly. I don't think it should fly. Because based on what's been released up to this point, based on the witnesses, it was neglect. And the person responsible for that is him. It not just as the person holding the gun, but as the producer of the film. So I don't know. Again, I'll see if I can manage to watch the interview. I'll do a quick little video on it, because again, I find it really interesting. Also, I want to see how bad of an interviewer Stephanopoulos is, but we'll see. As always, any comments, questions, or suggestions, you can find me at Super Dario World on YouTube and on Twitch. I usually live stream at 10 a.m., but I'm gonna be out of town, so you won't see me. No, I'll preload stuff for the next few days. On Monday, I'll preload the stuff for Hawkeye, like I usually review. If you want to check out my adventures, I will be loading stuff to my Instagram at DarioSDW, and like I said, Instagram. As always, thank you for joining me, and I'll see you again next time.